What's going on, everybody? Dan the Ultra Dad here in my studio. It has been forever since I've had a chance to record a video in my studio. Let's be honest, it's probably more my fault. I've been lazy with my content creation on the channel, but there's been a lot going on, and I'm sure you saw my recent video. I went into some of the things that I've been up to, but today I want to talk about the 3 things I'm going to have on my mind when it comes to getting back in shape. Because if I'm honest, I am definitely out of shape right now. And, you know, the good news is there's a lot of time. We're at basically the beginning of the off season here in November, and I have a chance to come back next year even stronger. These are 3 things I'm going to try to keep in mind as I try this winter to make it better than last. All right, so welcome back to the channel. Once again, I am Dan the Ultra Dad. Thank you so much for joining me today. The family is off doing other things right now, so I had an opportunity to make some videos, and I'm in my basement right now, in my studio, like I said, for the first time in a long time. So thank you for coming back, and thank you for watching today. I hope everything's going well for you out there as far as your training. My training is starting to get better, but over the past couple months, it's been very, very slow. Let's just put it that way. I haven't been running much, and in some ways it's good because my body's had a chance to recoup from a fairly busy summer. Like I've said in my last video, I went and ran the Mohican 100 this summer back in June, successfully finished that one, and then had an amazing trip to Colorado for the Never Summer 100K. Unfortunately, did not finish that race, but I had a great time. It was a very busy summer. So the body, I think it did deserve a little rest. I'm not sure 2 months was in store. I didn't expect to take that big of a break, but as I started to take the break, I told myself, you know what? I'm going to let myself, I'm going to wait until I want to run because I was kind of burned out from the summer running. So I did that, and this past couple weeks, I started to run again, and I started to want to get out and work out. And I think that was probably a healthy way to approach getting back into the swing of things because now I actually want to get out there, and I actually want to get back in shape. So that's really great. All right, so like I said, there's going to be 3 quick little things I'm going to be trying to keep in mind as I get back in shape this off season. And, you know, if you're new to the channel, when I say off season, it's because most of my races, and I think most runners do their races in the spring, summer, and fall. And so as we get into winter now, it's time to buckle down and try to improve my fitness so that I can start strong next year and accomplish my goals. So not really sure what those goals are yet, but I do know one thing: I want to stay in shape, and that's going to be my primary focus right now. So the first thing I'm going to be keeping in mind as I get back in shape this fall, late fall, winter, is start slow. I don't want to overwhelm myself and stress myself out when I, look at myself and say I'm not in shape, and then, get into a frenzy of working out for a few weeks and then have that peter out and not be able to continue and be consistent. So for me, I think the name of the game this time around is I need to start slow. I need to be consistent, but start slow and let the body adapt to my training as I go forward. So for me, that's going to be a lot about volume. That's what I'm thinking right now. I don't want to overwhelm myself with too much volume, too many miles right away. So I'm going to be looking at, doing even, 3 miles a day each time I work out, maybe throw in a 6 or 8 mile run on the weekends, but really try to keep it pretty steady, but low volume. So as I go, and then every week or so, I think try to stick to the 10% rule. Don't increase my mileage any more than 10% from week to week. and see how that goes. And I'll definitely be adapting. Don't get me wrong. I'm certainly willing to take tips. I'd love to have your input with this, by the way. So hit me up in the comments below and let me know what you think about that strategy of starting slow. That's what I'm going to start with. That's what I'm going to focus on moving forward. The second thing I'm going to be doing as I try to get back in shape this off season is I need to change my mindset. There's probably a reason why, and I think part of it was being a little bit just a little bit tired of running, honestly, this summer with the races I was doing and the mileage I was trying to do. It wasn't a huge amount of mileage, don't get me wrong, but it was a pretty active season this year for me. So, part of it is I need to change my mindset as I'm moving forward this off season. Because right now, like I said, part of it was being a little overstressed, a little burned out from running. But the other thing, as I was getting to the point where I knew I needed to get back into the swing of things, my mind would always make excuses about why I wasn't going to go running or why I was going to let it go and then start over tomorrow. So, and I kept pushing it off. And finally, I just had to decide, all right, I don't care what the weather is like outside. I don't care what mood I'm in. I'm going to get out there and get 3 miles in. And so that's what I mean by changing my mindset. I'm trying to figure out, and I don't have this figured out yet. I'm trying to figure out, what has caused me to push it off. Besides the typical, I'm a normal person. I'm lazy in general. But there's certain triggers, I think, for me that lead to me not getting the workout in and not doing what I want to do from a fitness standpoint. So I'm trying to identify those triggers. And for me right now, the trigger is like the weather. So, if the weather was bad outside, I always made an excuse, not to go do my workout, not to go running. So for me, and I think the other trigger that comes to mind is just kind of thinking, oh, I got to go run 6 miles. I got to do a 10K, got to do 8 miles. Instead of thinking, let's just get out and do a 3-mile run, even 2-mile run. Let's just get out and get some activity going to start something, because you have to start somewhere. And that's something that my mind has kind of forgotten about, is that when you're out of shape, you got to start somewhere, and it's probably going to be starting small or starting slow, like I said before. So changing my mindset is something I'm going to really focus on this off season in this winter. And the weather is going to be tough because it always gets cold around here in Ohio. Sometimes there's ice. There's always ice at some point. Sometimes there's snow. So wind, of course, wind chill. These are not fun conditions to be outside running in. And I need to find a way to change that mindset and eliminate those triggers, or at least push through them so I can do what I want to do from a fitness standpoint. All right, and that leads me to my third thought that I have about getting back in shape this season, and that is I need to dig in. It's not going to be easy. So even though I'm going to be starting slow, even though I'm going to hopefully be identifying some of these triggers that cause me to not work out and to not meet my fitness goals, the third thing is really key, and that is you got to be mentally tough. You got to be willing to dig in and do what you have to do to reach those fitness goals. So for me, again, it's going to be, I'm going to have to shift my mindset. I'm going to have to shift my approach this winter as the weather is not so good. So part of that will be, I need to find ways to be creative. I might need to use a treadmill. I might need to go to the gym some days. And sometimes I just might need to accept the fact that I'm going to be miserable and it's not going to be easy. So that's what I need to do, is dig in and overcome that temptation to be lazy and to push off my training. So digging in is a big part of it. Mental toughness, that's part of why that was the real draw for me to running way back in high school, was pushing myself to the limit to see what was possible, to see what I could do. For me, it's the challenge, that has always drawn me to the sport. And so digging in and being mentally tough is going to be important for me to do if I want to get back in shape. So anyway, well, thank you for joining me. It's kind of a quick video today. I'm starting slow, right? I'm trying to take my own advice and start slow with my content creation again. I hope things are going well for you out there. I hope your training is going well. And if you have any thoughts about the off season, about staying in shape this winter, definitely hit me up below in the comments. I'd love to hear your thoughts, and I'd love to hear your ideas about that. So, all right, well, have a great weekend, and I'll be back soon, hopefully sooner rather than later, with more content. And if you do like the content, by the way, like, subscribe, do all those things down below, and I greatly appreciate that. All right, have a great night. We'll catch you in the next one.